In this episode, Jane Whitfield tells us what it's really like to work as a private client solicitor at GloverPriest Solicitors, giving us an honest, behind-the-scenes look at her role, the work, and the culture. She walks us through her journey into law and the key experiences that have shaped her career. We also explore why, even as an experienced solicitor, being in an office environment continues to accelerate her growth and sharpen her technical skills. If you're thinking about your next step into law or curious what it's like working at GloverPriest Solicitors, this episode is for you. So, Jane, what does a day in the life look like for you?
That's actually a really hard question. I don't think I've ever had a typical day in all the time I've been doing this work. It's so varied. It ranges from detailed technical tax or trust work to some really personal conversations with clients about their wills or when they're newly bereaved. And there's time spent supporting the team as well. So it's such a mix. And I don't know something I've been conscious of as the years gone by is the benefit of just creating space. So time to think properly, time to make clients feel comfortable and let them just talk about what's really going on. So yeah, it's a mixed bag.
What would you say is your favourite part of your role?
I think the breadth of it. I love all the technical stuff. I'm diving into complex legal issues and just untangling them for clients. That's when I'm really in the zone. I love that part of it.
That's nice. Yeah, I think it's nice, isn't it, to be able to, like you say, untangle, but also make something so complicated kind of simple for somebody who doesn't
Yeah,
understand, and the value that that brings is so massive for the other person.
that's one of the bits I get to do for sure.
What kind of led you to become a solicitor?
Well, that's quite a long story, but I'll give you the potted version. Is that I worked for a big city law firm when I was very young, and I started off as a legal secretary. And I worked for a particularly pompous young chap who wore a three-piece suit and thought he owned the world, and he'd had a very privileged upbringing. And I sort of woke up in the middle of the night and thought, "Oh, golly, do you know what? I could do your job." And then I thought, actually, I really could do your job for you. And so I just took myself off to law school part time, studied in the evening, and I was working full time all the way through studying and did a postgraduate conversion course to get the equivalent of a law degree. And then I had to do the solicitor bit, the legal practice course as it was at the time. And every time it got really difficult and I wanted to give up, I thought about this young chap and thought, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you that I can do it. It triggered the rebel in me. Yeah, I sort of gave up my life really, and I had a really, really busy job because I was working in the City of London for one of the sort of magic circle firms. So it was really long hours. And then 2 evenings a week, I'd go off to college and then do lots of personal study. But I did it 2 years postgraduate and then 2 years legal practice course and then 2 years training. It wasn't called a training contract. I'm so old, it was still called articles. So I still got them somewhere, but I was an articled clerk and then what they call a trainee solicitor now.
Wow, wow. And what made you go into private client work? Did you start off there, or did you kind of go
Yeah,
into it?
very much so. I ended up, of my 2 years training, 18 months of it was all in private client. Just it's just the way it fell. I was doing a maternity cover and then I was doing my own training seat. So out of my 2 years, 18 months of that was in private client. It's so broad. That's what attracts me about it. It isn't just technical. There is a lot of technical stuff to it, but you're helping people to make decisions about their lives and their families, and it's really meaningful. I think at its heart, private client work is about people and trust. You're often helping clients to navigate some really important moments in their lives, and that's not something you take lightly. And what's kept me in this area of law is just being able to support people in that thoughtful and considered way. It's what makes it feel more than just a job. And people in some of the hardest moments that they've got to try and navigate, for sure. I've done loads of different things. Because I've at the stage in my career where I'm at, I've got quite a lot of history behind me. I started out in the city, so I had all of that shining lights, long hours, partying hard, and then I got fed up with the commute, so I went out into firms in Kent, and then had a move because of older parents who needed caring. So I was a partner of a firm for a while, and that was fun for a while. And then, but all the time I was doing private client work. And it's actually, I've been doing some reflections recently about what do I bring as a lawyer and what kind of lawyer do I want to be. And I think what's come out of it is it's all about relationships. Okay, you need to know about the law, but actually telling people about black and white letter law isn't what it's all about. It's about relationships and being thoughtful and giving clients the space to make decisions that are right for them. So I've been quite reflective quite recently.
And what made you choose Glover Priest as a law firm?
So I think because I've been sort of thinking about what kind of lawyer I wanted to be, it made me naturally gravitate towards Glover Priest, because in talking to the people here, I found that approach was supported rather than being just a really transactional firm. The relationships did matter, and it feels more collaborative. So rather than just being siloed and just doing the next piece of work and the next piece of work, I found that people talk to each other, and that gave me a sense that you're not just expected to figure out things on your own. There's a shared approach, and also allowed the time to do things properly, which I think is really important in the kind of work that we do. The other thing is that they took on not just me, but my whole team. So we were able to move as a job lot. And that was really important, because I wanted to make sure that my support team were with me in the move as well. And it was just brilliant that we were able to all move over together.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that you came with your whole team.
Yeah, it was three of us, so my paralegal and my secretary. We were all looking for a new legal family, because our office was being closed in the previous firm. So we were able to move as a team, which was really important for me, because I wanted to make sure that we were all looked after.
Oh, and do you work together now?
Yeah, we do. We've been integrated so well. We were given a really warm welcome. And I was worried that the established team would think that we're kind of barging in, but we've just integrated, and we're all part of the one big team now, and it's worked out so well.
What do you think makes Glover Priest have that collaborative culture like you mentioned?
I think it's led from, obviously, from the top down, and there is a commitment to giving the client a good service and making sure they do make sure everybody's looked after. And sometimes it's the little things. So we get a lunch on the last Friday of the month is free Friday lunch. Not easy to say, but it's it's on the firm, and people come together and we have a lunch together. Sometimes we just get pizzas in the boardroom, and it's really nice. And yeah, it's the fact that everybody talks to each other. You get the sense that there are, because we work in little sort of groups of three and four in sort of pods within the department, but the overall department is really supportive, and there's time to talk. And if you've got any questions, you don't feel that you can't put your hand up and ask questions as well. And that's really important. It's about the internal relationships as well as the ones that you have with your clients, for sure.
In terms of like the day to day, how do they make you feel, I guess, feel like you can collaborate and feel involved and feel part of a team and a family? How do they create that day to day?
Yeah, it's a mixture. So it's also, we're in the office together. So locally, we're in the various offices we're in Teams where you can just talk to each other. But we also have weekly Teams calls, so we talk to each other across the offices. And we've got a fabulous head of department who's always on the end of the phone and never ever makes you feel like you're asking a stupid question. That's really important. So you've got the culture of being open and approachable, and that works both ways as well. So support team coming to me and the other practitioners, but also we've got great managers as well. So it is open, and that brings the sense of relationship and team and collaboration. I think it's really important. It's something that's really important for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is so important to make that human connection, like you say, and feel like you want to go to work and see the people that you're working with. I think that it makes it important from that standpoint, but also, I guess, from a mentorship standpoint in terms of for the juniors or the less experienced people, it's good to be within that team culture. But I guess for someone like you who is more experienced, you were a partner of a law firm. What value do you get from, apart from the relationships, what value do you get from being in an office?
It's the fact that there are different people at different levels, and that physical presence is something that's really hard to replicate. As you said, there's something about being around other people doing the same kind of work that shapes how you think. So it isn't just that you're picking up knowledge so you can ask questions and or answer questions more often in my part, but it's the judgment as well. What I've got this client situation, what do you think's going on? And that's difficult to do when you're just stuck at home or working with a pair of headphones on. There is something about having people around you that you can just say, could you just have a look at this paragraph I've drafted? Do you think that's got the right tone of voice? So being physically present actually does really matter sometimes. You don't get that from being at home.
Yeah, no, that is interesting actually, because I think it's obvious what the benefits would be to junior people.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's, I guess it's not so obvious unless you're that type of personality who wants to be in an office environment and doesn't really like to be alone at home.
Yeah, I don't. I work well at home as well, but it's we're in an area of law where not just the law is changing, but you're never going to find the same situation twice because it's such a broad range of work, and actually every day is a school day. And as I say, we've got this amazing head of department that's so knowledgeable and just is able to access wisdom at his fingertips and will give you the answer to the question without having to look too much up, which I will never be able to do. I always have to go to the source and look things up. And so, yeah, there's always stuff to learn. And people are, even though they're in the private client team, they may have different specialisms. So you never get to the point where you've learned it all. And actually, the law is changing all the time as well. So um, nearly every day somebody says, "Oh, did you know that we can do this now?" Or the rules are changing, and there's this new set of guidance from the Court of Protection or whatever it is. So it's it's a moving industry where things change daily almost.
And I guess it's good for you because it's like it's personal development, but also it's good for your clients because you're constantly up to date. And like you say, when you're alone working at home or just
Yeah,
working alone, it's kind of difficult to manage your workflow, but also keep up to date with everything else. So it's helpful when you have those people around who you can just speak
yeah,
to.
really helpful. I think particularly in private client work, there are conversations where being physically present really matters, as well as being up to date and knowing that you're on top of all the recent knowledge. We're dealing with really sensitive situations a lot of the time. So being in the room really helps you to create a space where the clients feel comfortable and supported. And that's really important. You definitely can't do that remotely.
Absolutely. And was there kind of a moment when you thought to yourself, Glover Priest seems like a different place to work. It has a different vibe than other places.
Right from the beginning, actually, I was just saying just the fact that they were willing to take on my team as well as just me. I don't think it was one big moment particularly, but there've been lots of little ones. People taking time to welcome us and Actually, one thing that was really sweet actually was I'd been with the firm about 4 weeks, and I realised I'd hit my 25-year anniversary of being qualified as a solicitor. So I mentioned it to the office manager in the office where I work. And the next week, I was invited into the boardroom, and there was champagne and cake and a little sort of stick that said 25 years on it. And they took a photo and they put it on social media. And I felt very loved. So it's those moments, it's sort of the little things, really. Or it was a big thing for me. I think being open about asking questions, and I got a sense that it's a place where you're encouraged to think, not just to do. So that's what I think stands it out as a good place to work for me.
That's so lovely, especially since you just started as well. Like, I
Yeah, I
guess,
was really new.
yeah, yeah. And you probably, I mean, I would think like, oh, probably they don't care because I didn't spend my years here. I've just started.
Yeah, it's not really a big thing for the firm. It was a huge milestone for me, but
Yeah. Oh, that's really, really lovely. And how did they integrate your team? So was there anything that they particularly did or said that made you think like this is a really great way to kind of welcome us?
yeah, so we soon after we'd moved, there was a sort of outbuilding that is being refurbished because it's quite a small space with lots of people packed into it. And quite soon after we moved, all of the private client team was sort of moved into the annex. So we all managed to sit together, and so there's sort of me and another practitioner, and then her support team and my support team were then all physically together in a separate building. And that's helped to integrate us really well, actually, because we're all doing the same work in the same building. We're just plonked in the building to get on with it, yeah. And the head of department comes round and visits all of the offices about once a week, and he always takes time to speak to all of the staff, not just to the fee earners, and that's important as well. So you feel like you've got a important role to do within the team.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. It is very important, especially face to face as well.
Yes, yeah, it makes you feel like what you're doing in your office matters. It isn't just what happens in head office. That the individual offices are important as well. That's really how, having come from a firm which had a similar setup, it is really difficult to keep the teams together and pulling in the same direction when they're spread out geographically. So it works well here.
That's so great. What would you say the benefits are that you see from having such a great kind of integrated team? What are the benefits to your work and like how you feel?
Oh, I've learnt loads just because the technical ability is really high here. And so, yeah, I've had to really up my game technically and in a good way. And it also means that because it's integrated, then we're giving the same level of advice. So it doesn't matter if a client comes to Wellingborough or Quinton or whichever of the offices, they're going to get the same level of advice because we're all pulling together as a team, and we've had the same level of training and technical input. And that's, I'm really impressed with that. I think the fact that we're office based means that there is knowledge sharing, and also when the head of department comes to visit, there's people there and we can have that interaction. And also when we get together, so quarterly we get together as a team in person, and there's usually a training section and a time to ask questions and a kind of open forum. So it's definitely collaborative despite the geography.
And do you feel like you're given space to learn and develop and grow apart from, you know, sharing knowledge and working on your cases and things?
Yeah, definitely. So there's lots of ways in which we do that. For me, I tend to externally, I tend to try and get to the step conferences because they're pitched at quite a technical level and it's a whole day. So I just take a day out of my desk work and attend a conference and have my training that way. There are webinars, and in fact, I was presenting a webinar with the National Will Register a couple of weeks ago, and I really enjoyed that. And you have to prep for that, so that counts towards your sort of technical learning as well. But then we have weekly Teams meetings, we have the in-day quarterly stuff as well. So yes, there's opportunities and there's a commitment from the firm to say you need to we are fee earners, so we're expected to earn fees, of course, but also we are given that time to take on training and watch webinars. And we often do, if there are some webinars that are available to us as a firm, we sometimes get together and watch them together as well, and then have a time to ask questions afterwards and discuss what has been said in the webinar. So yeah, there are lots of opportunities and times, and there's some internal training sessions that go on as well. So it can be done at lots of layers in lots of different ways. It's really important as well, because we have to declare annually that we are up to date with continuing development. So we have to take on that for ourselves and make sure that we're getting the training we need.
What about mentorship? Because I guess this is a form of kind of training, and like you say, if you're mentoring someone as well, that helps you kind of focus your thoughts and your learnings, and but it also helps the other person. How important is mentorship within the team?
It's huge for me, and it's something I feel strongly about. So I feel it's so important to create an environment where people feel safe to ask questions and to develop, because that's the way that you grow confident, thoughtful lawyers, is giving them that space where it's safe to ask anything. From my perspective, it's about creating an environment where that can happen in a sort of natural way, and people can develop their judgment. And it isn't just about the technical knowledge as either, it's about growing as a person. And that's actually what gives me the most joy, is watching the younger lawyers coming through, developing, and becoming, as I say, these thoughtful lawyers.
Oh, I bet it's very rewarding to watch
It's
that.
huge. Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's one of the best parts of being a more I was going to say an older one, but a more senior solicitor in the team, shall I say.
Experienced.
Experience, that's the one. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I don't mind
And
being the oldie, that's fine.
what do you feel like, or can you think of any ways that you're able to gain from being in an office environment that's hard to replicate remotely, apart from all the things that we've already mentioned about mentorship, collaboration, learning?
I think it's the nuance of it as well, that, as I say, there's something about being physically present with people around you where you pick up judgment. It isn't just about knowledge. It's like, oh, that bit of law has changed. It's hearing the way that people talk to clients on the phone, or sitting in on a meeting, and just picking up, particularly for the junior members of staff, it's how do you gain that judgment on, is somebody telling you the real reason why they need a lawyer, or is there something under, is there, it's that instinctive sense that you can't get, you just can't get unless you're around other people in the room. And you can then say, I noticed that you said to that client, or you were quite hard on that client. That phone call sounded that you were kind of pressing in quite hard, and then the person has the opportunity to say, "Yeah, I wasn't quite sure about what they were saying, and I just wanted to kind of drill right down and find out what the actual issue is." And it's really hard to replicate that if you're not physically present, and you're getting that instinctive thing. You're getting the atmosphere and the bigger picture on why we give the advice we do, and what's really going on in this person's life, or what's happening with the administration of this estate, what's really happening. And a lot of it is instinct.
That's such a good point. And yeah, absolutely. Just listening to the way people talk and the exact words that they use as well. And you can't help but listen in on these conversations and pick things up. And it really develops you for sure.
It really does. And you can share some of the funny anecdotes as well, where clients come out with some very odd things. You see it all in probate work, I can tell you. And you can share those anecdotes as well, and laugh about how random things can be sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that with AI kind of automating more processes and becoming more prominent in legal work in many law firms, do you think this human aspect of being in person, and from what it sounds like, from what you're saying about gaining that instinct and that critical thinking and judgment, it seems like with AI being so prominent, actually in person working and be more collaborative working seems to be something that can actually help in this type of AI era.
Definitely. Now, I'm a strong user of AI, but I make it work for me, and I never ever give out anything that I haven't edited and personalized. So it, in terms of content, so sometimes I will say, can you please give me in plain language the difference between joint tenants and tenants in common, for example? And I use that content because that's what AI is really good at, is nailing down some really good content and a tone of voice, and then I adapt it. So I think that's a way that we can get AI to save us time, but you're still going to need the human input. You're still going to need that critical thinking. Um, a very small story to tell you. My niece is a school teacher, and she's stopped setting homework because she knows that her students are just going to put it into AI. She's a secondary school RE teacher. So what she's done, it's very clever. She said, okay, put this question into ChatGPT, bring what it tells you as the answer into the classroom tomorrow, and let's talk about it. And I thought, that's genius. So that's getting AI. Is you're not then handing in your AI generated homework. You're bringing your homework with you, and then you're making the students think and talk about it. And I'm doing something similar, I think, with AI. Is I'm getting it to give me some content. I'm then analyzing it, and we can talk about it within the team about, okay, this is what ChatGPT. I'm getting clients giving me my advice back to me. So I've sent an email giving them some suggestions on what they could do next. And they've put that into ChatGPT. They then come back to me and said, this is what ChatGPT says. Why is it different from your advice? And I've then had to justify myself. Slightly cheeky,
Oh
but
my gosh.
quite interesting to think about. It's happened more than once. People are doing it all the time.
Oh yeah, I bet they will. Yeah, definitely. What do you do with that? Like how do you actually approach that when clients come to you?
I actually look at what ChatGPT has said and I pick all the holes in it. And then I say, this is why you need a human being, because I've got the knowledge and the experience to know when it's got the law right and when it needs that extra nuance, and it needs to be adapted so that it's actually right for your situation. What ChatGPT might have said would be right in a more general situation, but it isn't actually appropriate for your actual situation, which is why I told you to do this.
Which is more natural and instinctive for you because of your, 25 years of experience.
Exactly. So, and I've got the confidence to pick holes in ChatGPT and say, well, it's not what it said isn't wrong from a legal point of view, but it's not appropriate for your situation.
But what would you advise, let's say, I don't know, a paralegal of yours or a junior lawyer within your team comes to you and says, a client's come to me and they've questioned my judgment and they've come back with a ChatGPT answer. What would you advise to them because they don't have that experience that you have?
Absolutely. Let's exactly as my niece does in the classroom. Bring what ChatGPT has said and let's talk about it. So we'll just have a chat. If necessary, we'll get the client in with the paralegal and say, okay, this is what ChatGPT said, and this is where we think it's got it wrong, or where it hasn't quite got the right gist, and we can talk it through. But my advice to all of the juniors is, don't flounder, and don't let it knock your confidence. Let's sit down and talk about it, because again, it's relational. It isn't just about black and white letter law. It's easy to feel that you're being sidelined by AI, but actually, what we can add is our knowledge of the client and our instinct about what is appropriate in what can be a sensitive situation, so we can bring that empathetic part that AI can't.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
conversations can change. While you're listening to people, I'm always thinking about what's the next step. And actually, when they say something, it can change the advice that you give again. And that AI doesn't have that adaptability unless you keep going in and asking it a new question. But actually, when you're with a client, I'd gone through an entire client meeting once with a couple, and I said, okay, I'll take out my notes away and prepare a draft will for you, and I'll try and get that to you by the end of the week. And they said, oh, don't worry, we're off to our villa in Spain tomorrow, so don't worry about giving us the draft wills until next week. And I said, no, hang on a minute. Can you come and sit down again? Villa in Spain? You didn't say that you had any foreign property, and that actually changes what I need to tell you about your wills. So it was a throwaway remark that then changed everything I needed to tell them.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, it's just these nuances, like you say.
Yeah.
ChatGPT can't really compete with that at this point.
No, you can force it down a particular channel if you just keep going back and saying, yes, that's fine, but tell me about this and how would you do that, and keep on asking it questions. You can eventually nail it down, but it takes time.
Yeah, it really, really does. And you've got to ask it the right questions, and clients don't know what the right questions are.
Absolutely. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess that's a big benefit of being in the office as well. Let's say a client emails and says, ChatGPT came out with this. You can literally turn around to somebody more senior or experienced and say, what do I do? And then it puts you, it helps kind of create this peace of mind for the junior person because they are surrounded by the experts for support.
Yeah, exactly. And if the people in the actual physical office aren't sure, then we can. I often say, let's get somebody on the phone and let's ask them as well. So you kind of get in some more wisdom if you can't find the answer amongst yourselves. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes it's good just to get another pair of eyes on something. And so it's nice to have the wider team there as well, not just the people that are in your office.
Definitely. Just to summarize, what does it feel like to work at GloverPriest?
It's been amazing for me. It's I wasn't, as I say, I wasn't expecting to have to move firms again at my stage in my career, and it's been just a really positive thing. It's aligned with the kind of lawyer I want to be, and working in a way with sort of relationship led. Um, it's yeah, it's ticked lots of boxes, and I've learned loads as well. So it's been really positive. So my sort of ideal space is where I'm really great technically. I've still got all the complex bits to do, but still thoughtful and led by relationships. That's the real thing for me. That's what gets me up in the morning, is building their relationships, giving clients the space where they feel safe and able to talk about whatever it is in life that they're navigating, giving them the space that they can make decisions that are right for them. So it's a big kind of bag of stuff, really.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode. If you'd like more information, please don't hesitate to contact us. Our details will be in the description.